Pimp and the hoe syndrome, equating to the criminal justice system and felons. The pimp manipulating situations to keep the hoe in the mindset that there is no better way of living their lives. The last thing a pimp wants is for that hoe to become aware, to really open their eyes and see the true dynamic of their relationship. That one is being completely used up by the other for profit and gain. And that's exactly the type of system that the criminal justice system represents.
After serving 16 years of a 36-year prison sentence for drugs, my next guest was granted early release, but after missing a routine phone call from her parole officer, she was labeled an escaped convict and sent back to prison. After going viral, her story caused an uproar. She was then granted a compassionate release by a federal judge. Please welcome Miss Gwen Levi and her attorney, my angel Cody. How you doing, Miss Levi?
Grateful, blessed, a whole lot of things. But
wow.
Thank you for being here.
Now, Miss Gwen, you were sentenced to 36 years in prison. For what?
For selling drugs. I had kind of lived a double life. Raising 6 kids, I got involved in drug selling, and throughout my early adulthood, that's what I did. Raised my kids, PTA president.
You were PTA president while you were selling drugs?
PTA president, sent my kids to Boy Scouts. Normal things, living a double life.
So you go to prison, you're convicted, you're sentenced for 36 years, you serve 16, get released under the CARES Act. Let's take a look at your family's reaction after you were released.
Oh my goodness! Oh! It's real! It's real! Where your bag at?
So, Miss Gwen, when you thought you were out for good, you were sent back to prison. Explain what happened.
I was on what they call an ankle bracelet, home of confinement. So I had to report and tell everything I did, which was okay. I'm still glad to be home. I'm glad to be home with my family. I knew that I had to get back into society, prepare myself. I was taking a computer class, thought I had filled out all the necessary paperwork to my case manager. I take the class, go to the first class, everything's fine. Go to the second class, everything's fine. Get to the third class, and lo and behold, they try to call me. My phone's off. My case manager informs me by text that I'm being charged with escape because I hadn't been, they weren't able to contact me within the 4-hour period. It sent me back to prison.
Okay, you the lawyer.
Yes.
Okay, so she tells them, I was taking a class when you called, my phone was off.
Not only did she tell them she was taking a class, she gave the address, the time, the place, the teachers, the video of where she was. And they still said that because she didn't answer her phone while she was in class, she had somehow escaped from federal custody.
This is normal, this is legal.
It happens, honestly, Steve, it happens every day. A lot of people think that the only way you go back to prison is if you commit a crime. What happens here is that she was at most disobedient and then she didn't answer her phone.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that what she did was the right thing to do. But think about this. If you have 6 children and you are the sole provider for everything they need in every aspect of their lives, is there anything that you wouldn't do to feed your children? We talk about recidivism rates, about felons coming home from prison, and next thing you know, in a short period of time, they're right back inside. A lot of us come under the false impression that they actually committed a crime to go back. But the majority of the time, most people go back to prison for a simple infraction, a small violation upon the rules of their release, like being late for a meeting, being around people who are other felons that you didn't even know they had a felony, or for whatever reason. That doesn't matter. But for that infraction, you can go back to prison. A system that's set up to fail.
Anyone with felony drug convictions can be banned from government food benefits. And if your family lives in public housing, you may not be able to return home because some places require tenants to sign papers banning relatives with convictions from entering their homes. And while those rules may have been written to reduce crime in public housing, they're administered so broadly it can lead to situations like this.
Geraldine Miller signed the ban after her son robbed a bodega at 16.
Had I known what I know today, I would have never signed that paper.
Miller herself now faces eviction after her son was caught helping her with groceries after she became ill. She has to go to her brother's apartment to see her son.
Nitra want me to throw my son away. I can't.
We get to the difficulty of ex-prisoners navigating parole. 2/3 of parolees who go back to prison do so not due to a new crime, but because of parole violations, sometimes for reasons as simple as missing appointments or failing a drug test. And for some, it may be because they're dealing with untreated substance abuse or mental illness, but for others who are trying their hardest, satisfying the conditions of parole can be maddeningly difficult. Look at Bilal Chapman. He spent a decade in prison for a non-violent drug offence, but despite the odds, he managed to get his life back on track and find a job that he loved. Things were going well until he hit a problem regarding scheduling meetings with his probation officer.
So he got off, I think, every day about 4. And so my job I didn't get off till 4:30. I said, okay, well, can I come in early? He said, no, you can't come in early. I said, well, okay, well, then can I come a little later? Can I get there at like 5 if you leave at 4:30? I don't stay and wait for you. I'm not going to wait for you. So I don't want to lose my job. This is the things that I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm out here for, is I'm working to be a productive member of society. I felt set up. I felt like I was set up to fail. I felt most people in that situation are set up to fail.
And you know what? It is hard to argue with that.
It seems like a system of slavery that doesn't want their slave to be free. Or isn't that the same thing that the slave masters used to say about never wanting to let their slave go?
She goes back to prison because she didn't answer her phone. She's 76 years old trying to learn how to use computers.
I heard about this story on my radio show. When they found out about this woman right here, man, I'm trying to tell you, it was some people really, really pissed off. It was people in an uproar about this. I'm telling you, man, the people across this country, this went viral. What did it cause, the uproar?
You know, I think it's really people-powered, right?
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I was there for 21 days. But during that 21 days, people like you, people all over the country, my angel, so many organizations, they rallied, they called, they sent petitions, they did everything they could. That's the only reason why I'm sitting here now and not sitting back in my cell. If it hadn't been for the public, if it hadn't been for the people, and right now, I'm not the only one that this is happening to. I'm the only one who got this publicity about it. But there are thousands of people who are sitting there waiting on home confinement, getting sent back for technicalities such as I did.
I would like to see what happened for Gwen happen repeatedly. When people pay attention, there is no political structure or obstructionism that can keep people from making sure that others are treated like human beings. That's really where justice happens.
Okay.
You know, you can say anything you want about law enforcement, but one thing is for certain. They have a system of organization that's impeccable. A law enforcement officer in Mississippi can make a phone call to another law enforcement officer in Arizona and say, I have a person of interest in your community. I really want you to go and check things out for me and see. Even though they've never worked together before, even if they don't like each other, they'll still do that. They'll still maintain that type of connection and organization and work together with each other. Why don't we have something like that? Why aren't we, as people who are persecuted by these systems, why don't we have a system to where we can respond and act for each other and engage with each other and assist each other? Why can't we develop a system where we respond to each other and for each other in times of need? And if you heard what she said, it wasn't until the people began to stand up for her, they were able to open the doors and let her free. It means that the people's voice, when united, has power to open up prison cell doors and let people be free, and let all our loved ones, the people that we know are good people, we can let them all come home to us and end this slavery. And if not, we're going to continue to see the people that we love each and every day become more and more enslaved until those numbers of incarceration turn from 2 million to 3 million to 5 to 10, which will affect the lives of every single citizen in this country. Only question I have to ask after that is, what are you going to do about it?